Welcome back inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, ladies and gentlemen, for another Rapid Reaction presented by Byers Auto. That's the 40-year vet, Tim May. That's Andy Backstrom. I'm just Spencer Holbrook.
We're trying not to get hit by softballs.
Yeah, the softball team practicing to our left as they, I would assume, are in a rain delay. It just poured here as Ohio State was going through a scrimmage that we got to watch in its entirety. Tim, I'm not going to waste time. First takeaway from scrimmage.
My takeaway is that cherry on top, man. We came here to watch the quarterbacks, let's face it. We got to watch a lot of other guys, which we'll get into in a minute. But in the quarterback situation, I thought Devin Brown had a good day. I thought Kyle McCord, the second half of the scrimmage today, stepped up as in making throws, hitting guys in stride, et cetera, and making plays, like on a run, for example, for a touchdown, and finding guys open and moving the chains, moving the team into the end zone, as Ryan Day talked about afterwards. So that's my first impression is, Kyle McCord has been the backup quarterback the past 2 years. I thought had a really good first public outing as, quote, number one, end quote.
1A, I guess, maybe 1B with Devin Brown.
Quotes.
Andy?
Yeah, some of the underclassmen guys I think always just strike me with the size. We haven't seen them really on the field in game action as much, but Kenyatta Jackson looked great off the edge. There was a point in which he had back-to-back sacks. They're not actually bringing down the quarterbacks at this point, but he looked great to me today. Also, Jelani Thurman had what really could have been the game-winning touchdown, if you will, in the scrimmage. They kind of called back that play a few times, but he looks great. Just a big body, can also catch the ball well, and someone that sticks out if you're here and you're watching it.
Yeah, exactly. And I would agree completely. Kenyatta Jackson, Jelani Thurman, both of those guys stand out. Kyle McCord had a great second half. For me, it was some of the guys who worked in with the ones. That's something that you take with a grain of salt here because of injuries, and Marvin Harrison didn't go through full contact. There's some other guys that are out. Tommy Eichenberg, Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming. They're all on the shelf right now. But it is very telling that Carnell Tate was one of the first receivers into that rotation when they were on the field with the ones, and then gets his black stripe removed immediately after practice. That's telling to me. Davison Igbinosun getting that black stripe removed directly after the first scrimmage, that's a guy who's really starting to creep into people's minds. I thought Malik Hartford was on the field at times as a true freshman with some of the more important pieces of this defense. You see Kenyatta Jackson working his way, and Omari Abor getting his name called. It's all, like you said, the younger guys. But to me, it was more about the rotations and when they came in, where they slotted. Gabe Powers, another guy you got to mention is somebody who's starting to maybe creep in there a little bit. And
even Reed Carrico had some moments today.
Yeah, Carson Hinsman. All of these young guys that are really, we know the star power at the top is going to be the star power at the top, but those guys in the middle there that make the rest of your starting 22 and your rotational 20 after that, maybe those are the guys that are going to help you win a national title. Because the top of the top of every depth chart, for Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, they're really even. So I think like those guys emerging and starting to show themselves in that 2 deep, I think that's what I take away from this is just how much we learned about those young guys and where they are in the progression.
Yeah, and Marvin Harrison Jr., you talked about him not being in full contact, but he was one play. I was standing there talking to former Buckeye offensive lineman Ken Fritz. Yeah, he was there. He was in the picture when Woody Hayes was having his moment in the Gator Bowl many years ago, and we're sitting there, and I'm actually telling him a Darryl Royal story when all of a sudden we look up and here comes Marvin Harrison Jr. I can't remember who was covering him, but Ken Fritz did the best cover job on Marvin Harrison Jr. today because Marvin Harrison Jr. took him out, and it was quite the moment. So yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. had at least one full contact moment today, but thank goodness I was quick enough to go like this and get out of the way. But the bottom line is the guys, they don't need to see what Marvin Harrison Jr. can see. Heck, we saw that on Wednesday, in the pro day when all the pro scouts were drooling over what may be Ohio State's second straight #1 draft pick next year in Marvin Harrison Jr. But yeah, at the wide receiver spot, the guy that keeps catching my eye, man, he caught it the other day in the spring in the pro day, and is continuing. And boy, you just wonder why he didn't see a little more action last year. Is Jaden Ballard, because he's the guy who can take the top off of defense. He made some plays again today, and I think with Emeka Egbuka and Julian Fleming not around in the spring for full contact, there's a guy to really keep your eye on who understands, as Ryan Day said, he understands this is his spring to make a move, and it looks like he's making it.
Yeah, a lot of the young guys. I mean, Bryson Rogers had some good catches today. Noah Rogers as well. So we're seeing that first-year wide receiver class kind of stepping up, as we've talked about in videos prior. But also the winner-loser competition stuff we've mentioned before in our videos, and they're really, really going hard at that. It was, I think, 102 to 100 at the end of it all. Offense won. Now that number is broken down through reps throughout all the periods, and it's kind of a running total. So they're really stressing the importance of that, just making it situational, so that there's actually a competition throughout.
Absolutely.
And that's a big emphasis at this stage of practice.
You know, Urban Meyer did that a long time ago too. This isn't the first time. You know, it's not invented. And Mickey Marotti was a part of that idea too. It's just everything counts. Every play counts. Every rep counts. We're keeping an eye, just like Jim Knowles said, you know, in our pre-spring deal, you're going to be judging these guys hard now. I mean, last year was about installation of a new defense to everybody. Now it's about guys making plays. And we saw some guys make some plays on defense. I mean, Sonny Styles made plays. Davidson Igbinosun, who this time a year ago, was he already at Ole Miss this time a year ago? Was he an early enrollee, if I remember correctly? And started, 10 games for Ole Miss. We saw him out there, and not Jordan Hancock making plays, and of course Denzel Burke. There were a lot of guys that were coming on as this scrimmage went on.
Yeah, it's one of those give and takes, because I was going to come on here at the beginning of this video and be like Jim Knowles and give out a silver bullet of the day, because I thought Jordan Hancock was having the best day of any defensive player on the field. He was getting his hands on the football. He was breaking up passes in the red zone period from both Devin Brown and Kyle McCord. He defended Marvin Harrison Jr. really well on a play. That doesn't happen often.
No.
And then I look up during the team period, and there's Jaden Ballard on a double move, 20 yards of open field ahead of him and 20 yards behind him as well, and nobody there. And I said, who was in coverage? That was Jordan Hancock. So he had a really good day. Obviously, that one rep is what he's probably going to think about a lot.
Yeah, not just him.
But
Jim Knowles, Ryan Day,
yeah,
they're going to think about it.
And those are the kind of things that we saw last year from this secondary. But I thought he did have a really good day. And if I did have to give out a silver bullet of the day now, it's your guy that you mentioned already, Kenyatta Jackson. Every time these quarterbacks face pressure, who was it that they were announcing? Kenyatta Jackson. I asked Ryan Day, I said, is it a good thing or not? Because that means your tackles are kind of getting handled. And is that a good thing? I don't know. Mahalski had a little bit of trouble with him. Tegra Shpola had a little bit of trouble with him. Josh Fryer, I think, kind of held his own a little more there against him. But, those two right tackles, Ohio State's going to have to get some things figured out. But I thought the defensive line really won the day overall as a position group.
Yeah, and Ryan Day talked about that. He really liked how they maintained that endurance throughout the entire practice. The offensive line was interesting to watch. I mean, we're all kind of watching that as the spring goes on. Not really a set in stone at this point. Again, they're rotating guys. We saw a lot of Zen Mahalski with the first unit. At times, they mixed in Tegra there at right tackle, so they're going to keep going back and forth. But it seems to be just an ongoing competition there, and something we'll have to keep watching going forward. But I will say Josh Fryer was pretty much there at left tackle throughout.
I thought Jack Sawyer had a good day. I mean, I thought he got pressure a lot. I mean, I think he's really buying into this, like he said, hand in the dirt deal again, and full time and getting after it. I got to talk to his dad on the sidelines a little bit, and he was saying the same thing. Just he's not criticizing anything that went on last year, but his son is lean and mean again, and it looks like he's ready to make a statement.
Yeah, I'm going to just highlight a couple other moments. We're kind of going through moment by moment, just what we remember. Sonny Styles, man, that guy, he's going to be on the field now, and he's going to make an impact. There was a time where one of the receivers, I think it was Caleb Brown, was just simply too small to see over him. It was a great ball by Kyle McCord down the sideline, and Caleb Brown probably could have come down with it, but he couldn't see over Sonny Styles because Sonny Styles is a 6'3" safety that runs like a deer. I mean, it's just that guy just looks different on the field, and he's supposed to be a true freshman early enrollee right now. Instead, he's in his second year, and again, he just looks different. Cameron Martinez out there running a heavy majority of first-team reps in the slot corner. If you read LettermenRow.com yesterday on Friday morning, I posted a note on the Lettermen Lounge message boards that said, I was hearing great things about Cameron Martinez.
Slot corner, though?
At slot or in the
Nickel.
safety spot, nickel.
They don't call it slot corner.
Whatever you want to call
Same
it.
thing.
Whatever you want to call him. He was out there on the field a lot.
Yeah.
I posted that on the Lettermen Lounge message board. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but those are the kind of things you can get $30 until next September. I mean, we're providing the goods there. I thought Cameron Martinez had a pretty good day, all things considered. I think he's a guy that took this winter personally after what happened in the Michigan game and what happened against Georgia. And, we'll see. But you just look out there, and a lot of talent. Jihad Carter, you see Josh Proctor out there with the ones. You see Lathan Ransom. You see Denzel Burke getting his hands on the football like we've been hearing. Now we see it in practice.
Yeah.
Tim, it looks like this defense is really starting to, the Jim Knowles system's starting to take hold of what this defense wants to do.
Yeah, I agree. But let's face it, I mean, they were pretty good last year. I mean, except for those gaffes, and the gaffes killed them. And you still saw some gaffes again today where guys got open deep. And by that I mean, by one or two or three strides, like you were talking about the one pass to Jaden Ballard. I mean, wide open, down the sideline. Those are the consistency is what you've got to have from those guys, and that's what they're pushing. I know that's what they're pushing, and we'll see where that goes. I mean, it's the first scrimmage of spring,
Yeah.
But like Ryan Day said, it's win or loser, and you get graded on every rep. And I think the potential is there. I think Igbinosun, getting back to him again, that's a major add to this. Jihad Carter, I don't remember I'm sure he played some, but I don't remember noticing him that much on the field. The other transfer in from Syracuse, the safety. But I think Igbinosun, he looks the part. As Bobby Carpenter said when we were talking about it, he reminds me of Jeffrey Okuda a little bit. Got those long arms and stuff, and runs really well.
I would argue in Jihad Carter's position, Tim, it's better if you don't notice him. Almost as the Ronnie Hickman role last year, when if you didn't notice Ronnie, the defense was playing pretty well. So, I mean, I would argue that it might be a good thing you didn't really notice Jihad Carter a lot out there on the field.
I'm not. I did notice Josh Proctor. Josh Proctor,
playing a little bit different role though.
Josh Proctor coming back, I know, but Josh Proctor coming back from that injury from a year and a half ago, and obviously last year never really, he played a lot, but he never really just played the way you thought Josh Proctor would play. I thought he looked pretty active out there today. I mean, it's pretty encouraging watching him run around.
If you can't tell, information overload is the name of the game here. We've got a lot to talk about. Andy, I don't even know where to go with this. We've been a little bit all over the place, but we were also kind of staying on a message of just defensive improvement, offensive standouts. I mean, where do you want to go with it next? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'll just go back to the quarterbacks because I think that's what people are most focused on at this point. Devin Brown seemed to be still the redshirt freshman that he is. He had some nice moments, but he also had times where he was staring down receivers, times where he wasn't getting the ball quick enough, so they just blew the play dead and called it a sack. Times where he was a little bit inaccurate. Now, it's not to say Kyle McCord was perfect either. Really, that first half of the scrimmage, Ryan Day even said he was just okay. Then towards the second half, he really picked it up. And you could see not only his level of play, but his leadership, really rallying guys around. There was even one point where he thought he had scored, and then everyone kind of rallied around him. He threw the ball up in the air, and it was just a good moment in terms of leadership.
He did score. They just wanted to have 3 straight plays.
Right. It looked like he scored.
Yeah.
But the point is that neither of them were perfect today. That's probably just a byproduct of this being March still. And it's also, these guys are pretty inexperienced when it comes to working with the ones at this point.
But you saw that story I wrote about how Ryan Day, like we always talk about what we saw, what we see. I wanted to know what Ryan Day's looking for, whatever preposition you want to put at the end of that sentence. And he pointed out, does the guy, number one, does he run the play? Does he recognize the coverage? All these things that has to go through a quarterback's head. But then when A's not there, does he get to B? And then does he convert on B, or does he get to C and run out of there and stuff? And I thought as the thing went on, Kyle McCord did a much better job of seeing A wasn't there and going to B, seeing B wasn't there and occasionally getting out of the pocket and things like that. It wasn't a huge sample size on these guys, but I thought Kyle McCord got more comfortable as the scrimmage went on in that regard.
Yeah, it's also the first time that both of these guys have been under the microscope with, I would say there was 500 people here today.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that's a big crowd. They're obviously going to play in front of 100,000 people, 6 different times this year at Ohio State and 110 at Michigan and however many at Camp Randall in October. But at the same time, you come out to practice and you're expecting a day of practice and you see 500 recruits, their parents, former players, and media out here. It's just a different ballgame. And so, both these guys had a little bit rocky starts. I thought they both rebounded and played pretty well toward the end. Quarterback, defensive end, safety, secondary. I think we've got it all covered here. LettermenRow.com, the rapid reaction presented by Byers Auto. A lot more to discuss, though. We promise we'll have more coverage at LettermenRow.com. The 40-year vet will be there writing it all down, writing about it, giving the information to you guys. the 2-year vet now, Andy Backstrom, be there breaking it all down at lettermenrow.com, as will I, Spencer Holbrook. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the latest Rapid Reaction presented by Byers Auto after a jam-packed scrimmage. Full coverage coming your way. We'll see you there.